Have you ever been called antisocial, quiet, maybe even a homebody? Well, what if those labels are just completely missing the point? Today, we're going to explore a really powerful idea. What if it's not about a lack of social interest at all, but a deep, deep hunger for something more meaningful?
Okay, let me ask you this. Does this sound familiar? You go to a crowded party, and an hour in, you feel like your battery is at zero, totally drained. But then you go home, and at 3 a.m., you're wide awake, completely lit up by a documentary on quantum physics or ancient history. That feeling, being depleted by small talk but absolutely fueled by big ideas, that's exactly what we're digging into.
And this right here, this gets to the very heart of the misunderstanding. On the outside, the world might just label you antisocial, but your internal reality, what you're actually feeling, is something else entirely. It's not a dislike of people, it's a profound, almost painful lack of stimulation. And that gap, between how you're seen and how you actually feel, it can be so incredibly frustrating. Now, it's really easy to just slap a label on this, right? Call it social anxiety or just introversion. And look, those things can definitely be part of the picture, but they might not be the whole story. What if the real root cause is something deeper, something we just don't talk about enough? What if we reframed the whole thing and thought about it like hunger? Yeah, hunger. Not for food, but for ideas. A cognitive appetite. A powerful driving need for mental substance that simple small talk just can't and won't ever satisfy. See? Thinking of it that way, it changes everything. So let's give it a name. Let's call it intellectual hunger. This is the core idea. It's this deep craving for meaningful engagement. It's not that you dislike socializing. Not at all. It's that you dislike socializing that lacks substance. You're basically searching for cognitive nutrition in a world that's full of junk food conversations. So where does this hunger even come from? It's not just some random personality quirk. It's actually rooted in some pretty fascinating psychology. Let's get into the science behind why you crave that depth so much. So first up is a major personality trait, and it's known as openness to experience. If you're someone who's high in this trait, you are naturally deeply curious. You're not just waiting for ideas to find you, you actively seek them out, especially the complex ones. You're not content with just knowing what something is, you need to know how and why it ticks. And that's exactly why a conversation about the universe feels so invigorating, while chatting about the weather can feel like, well, a total waste of that precious mental energy. And this leads right into the need for authenticity. There's this concept called an internal locus of evaluation. All that means is that your sense of validation, your compass, it comes from within. You're not looking for a pat on the back or external approval. So you're not interested in social performance or saying the right thing just to fit in. You're searching for genuine connections and conversations that actually mean something to you. So let's just connect all the dots here. How does this intellectual hunger actually show up in your day-to-day life? Well, you find yourself drawn to complex problems. You actively avoid those empty-calorie conversations about nothing. You can spot inauthenticity from a mile away, and you absolutely need your alone time, not to hide from the world, but to recharge your batteries and actually process all those fascinating ideas you've been collecting. Okay, so we figured out the why. You're not broken, you're not weird, you're just hungry. Now for the really good part. How do you embrace this? How do you start feeding that magnificent brain of yours? This, right here, is the most important mindset shift you can possibly make. Stop seeing this part of you as a flaw that needs to be fixed. It's a fundamental need, just like your need for food or sleep. The goal isn't to force yourself to enjoy things that leave you empty. It's to learn how to satisfy that hunger. So how do you actually do this? Well, first, curate your information diet, be intentional. Choose the books, podcasts, and documentaries that really challenge and excite you. Second, learn to steer conversations deeper. Instead of just, how was your weekend? Try asking something like, what's the most interesting thing you've been thinking about lately? It's a simple switch, but it can change everything. Third, find your tribe. Connect with people who love exploring ideas as much as you do. And finally, you have to schedule solitude. Treat it like a critical appointment in your calendar, because that is your time to process, to think, and to truly dive deep. I love this quote by Ellen Parr. It just captures the whole spirit of this perfectly. We're so often told that the cure for boredom is just more distraction, more noise. But the real answer isn't distraction at all. It's curiosity. That curiosity is your engine. And the best part, it is absolutely inexhaustible. So let's leave it with this. The next time you feel that pull to stay home with a book instead of going to a party, I want you to stop asking yourself, ugh, why am I so antisocial? Instead, ask yourself this: what am I intellectually hungry for right now? Because the answer to that question, it might just change the way you see yourself forever.